now. They acting like they seen a ghost or something. I know that I got it unlimited. Step in my shoes, but I know they won't fit in it. Put on a beat and you know that I'm killing it. Ain't got no seats at my table, but they wanna sit at it. Nah, started with nothing and I made it everything. They want percentages, won't give them anything. I'm motivating my people to better things. Step in the booth and I'm bringing the energy. They need a medic, I'm bringing a remedy. I'm only looking at those who ahead of me. Counting the days, could be dead to me. I'm about to get it. They hit my phone, but I never read it. I'm in the zone, don't send me a message. A lot going on, I need me a beverage. Got a good spirit, but I fly American. Travel the world, I study my heritage. They see me out in Dubai like there he is. They drop the ball, but I'm about to carry it. Call me Ezekiel Elliott, whoa. I switch the flow like I'm a magician. I get the gold like I'm an Olympian. Sold out shows, that's what I envision. When I hit the road, my pockets be filling. I don't need a bed, cause I don't be sleeping. I'm in the studio into the weekend. I'm feeling heartless like I'm the weekend. Yeah, out in the deep end. I'm swimming with sharks, I'm battling demons. I feel like a rookie, but play like a vet. It feel like a diamond a season. I'm on the court while they in the bleachers. I need a palace, I might call it Caesars. I'm about to take a trip out to Ibiza, and I've been getting this bread like it's Peter. I'm not number 2, but I feel like a captain like I'm Derek Jeter. They say that they traveled the world, but we just went out to a mafia and we didn't see ya. Ain't no man I fear, I'm about to run this shit all year. Ain't no man I fear, I'm about to run this shit all yeah. Ain't no man I fear, I'm about to run this shit all yeah. Ain't no man I fear, I'm about to run this shit all yeah. She better than most. I need a palace, I need a horse. If you want gold, then I am the source. I need a crown, I need a sword. I got my team, we going to war. You are my kids, you be my pawns. We don't relate, you taking a loss. I am a king, give me the throne. I need a queen, she better than most. I need a palace, I need a horse. If you want gold, then I am the source. I need a crown, I need a sword. I got my team, we going to war. You are my kids, you be my pawns. We don't relate, you taking a loss. I am the king, I need a throne. Get on the track and I kill it, I'm gone. Never gonna get me out of my zone. Everyone always calling my phone, sending a song they want me on. I be saying no, we are not the same. I'ma let them know, run up in the game, never lose control. I've been on my way, I'm incredible. Damn, work every day of the week, that mean I'm becoming a beast. Everyone coming for me, I'm Curry for 3. You know I'm the top of the league. Nobody taking my spot, you ready or not? But ZG be bringing the heat, and my life's complex like academics. I'm a paramedic when I write a lyric, cause I'm always checking for the beat. I be rapping in my sleep, nothing worth having is free. That's what mama telling me, never been scared of defeat. I'm putting my heart on the line, what's going on inside my mind? I can't explain it, but I've been telling my story, I hope they all get it. I'm always ahead of the rest, and now I am the king. Give me the throne, I need a queen, she better than most. I need a palace, I need a horse. If you want gold, then I am the source. I need a crown, I need a sword. I got my team, we going to war. You are my kids, you be my pawns. We don't relate, you taking a loss. I am a king, give me the throne. I need a queen, she better than most. I need a palace, I need a horse. If you want gold, then I am the source. I need a crown, I need a sword. I got my team, we going to war. You are my kids, you be my pawns. We don't relate, you taking a loss. A lot of people try to do it, but they never notice that they not cut out for this. I'm reading my inspiration and I'm keeping patient like I came from the Alchemist. A lot of your favorite rappers really poppin' cause they went out and found an ass to kiss. I move along cause I'm the opposite. To make it gotta be an optimist. I know, never be thinking about what they be thinking about me. I don't be reading the comments when they talking shit and I feel like I'm finally free. I don't got time for going online and seeing what everyone see. I'm focused on me, that's how I feel. If you got a problem, then call Dr. Phil. We keeping it real, I'm never gon' chill. I cannot switch, shooting my shot, I know what can I miss. Don't really care about your life cause I heard that the ignorance bliss. Hey, you not part of my clique, don't make me tell what your day really is, cause really it's none of my biz. I just been living my life and I'm doing it right, and I'm sorry I ran out of fucks to give. I am a king, give me the throne. I need a queen, she better than most. I need a palace, I need a horse. If you want gold, then I am the source. I need a crown, I need a sword. I got my team, we going to war. You are my kids, you be my pawns. We don't relate, you taking a loss. I am a king, give me the throne. I need a queen, she better than most. I need a palace, I need a horse. If you want gold, then I am the source. I need a crown, I need a sword. I got my team, we going to war. You are my kids, you be my pawns. We don't relate, you taking a loss. still remember the days when I was working for minimum wage. I looked myself in the mirror, told myself I gotta switch up my ways, yeah. Now I'll be living amazing, I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation. I still remember the days when I was working for minimum wage. I looked myself in the mirror, told myself I gotta switch up my ways, yeah. Now I'll be living amazing, I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation. I still remember the days, driving delivery, not getting paid. I started rapping and everything changed. Travel to Italy, I celebrate everything that I've been doing. Closing the doors, but I'ma break through 'em. Caught me a foreign, but I want a new one. Look like a tourist, but I'm speaking fluent. Came a long way from my younger life. None of this happening overnight. Put in a decade of work, my resume speak for itself. These rappers be looking like socialites. I'm not the type for comparisons. Allergic to losses like Claritin. Believed in myself when nobody would. Remember they told me I'm arrogant. I still remember the days when I was working for minimum wage. I looked myself in the mirror, told myself I gotta switch up my ways, yeah. Now I'll be living amazing, I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation. I still remember the days when I was working for minimum wage. I looked myself in the mirror, told myself I gotta switch up my ways, yeah. Now I'll be living amazing, I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation. The longer the journey, the better the outcome. They got a label, did it without one, don't need to fake it. I cannot stand them, been dedicated, this is not random. I've been doing this for a minute, put in the time, now I get to live it. Travel the world, I gave it a visit, then I'm getting back to the business. Ayy, I'm Bradley Cooper when I'm feeling limitless, making the money and then I be giving it back to the people who raised me. I take the rest, I invest and I'm flipping it. The industry full of some snakes, live in the moment, then I get away. I take advantage of all of my chances when I look back at how far that I came, yeah. I still remember the days when I was working for minimum wage. I looked myself in the mirror, told myself I gotta switch up my ways, yeah. Now I'll be living amazing, I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation. I still remember the days when I was working for minimum wage. I looked myself in the mirror, told myself I gotta switch up my ways, yeah. Now I'll be living amazing, I'm never gonna be complaining. Turn myself into a boss, 24/7, feel like a vacation.
I am very sorry and I apologize for the inconvenience of me not giving a fuck.
I just pull up and I'm flexing. I've been busy counting blessings. Shawty asking for directions. Told her meet me in the bedroom. Coming back with a vengeance. I've been working on my mental. We ain't never in the same league. On my shit on, not a rental. Diamonds got 2 V's, that's a W. Do not include me with these other dudes. I do not lose sleep over none of you. Whole lot of loose leaf running out of room. Yeah, know how I handle my business. I keep it going, no limits. 100% that's a money back, money grab. Dropped and I'm dropping again and I run it back, yeah. Running through the east side, took it down south. Now I'm living out beach side, yeah. Living out my raps, only talking about facts. Everybody know I ain't gotta remind, yeah. It's a new era, but it's still no cap. Make a hit, then I go and hit rewind, yeah. Everybody trying to keep up, but I ain't gon' stop. You just gotta left behind. I just pull up and I'm flexing. I've been busy counting blessings. Shawty asking for directions. Told her meet me in the bedroom. Coming back with a vengeance. I've been working on my mental. We ain't never in the same league. On my shit on, not a rental. Same side, never switch it up. Some of y'all gotta just go ahead and give it up. I'm about to cop me a Bentley truck just cause I want it. I don't really give a fuck what they be thinking of. Only be caring about real ones. Shout out the fans who be showing the real love, yeah. Been through a lot and I seen enough. Put all the food on my plate and I'm eating up, yeah. City on my back like LeBron. Feeling like Superman, put my cape on. I'll never forget what I came from. I'm trying to go down with the great ones. Now my idols turn to my rivals. I play all day for the title. Some of y'all just play for survival. We cannot relate this life, not recitals, yeah. I just pull up and I'm flexing. I've been busy counting blessings. Shawty asking for directions. Told her meet me in the bedroom. Coming back with a vengeance. I've been working on my mental. We ain't never in the same league. On my shit on, not a rental.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friday. Bottoms up. Cheers to Friday. Happy freaking Friday, my fellow hackers. It is good to see you today. That is for sure. Wow, why am I so whitewashed today? That's wild. My lights are bright as hell. What the hell is up with that? How did my lights get that bright? We'll have to adjust the lighting on this thing a little bit. All right, there we go. We got a little bit of dark mode. We got all the dark mode going this morning. I don't know which. I think those are my meeting lights. I think I accidentally swapped my stream lights and my meeting lights. Anyway, welcome. My monitor light, yeah, my monitor light too. Yeah, that's right. I did add a monitor. I wonder if the monitor light's washing me out. Ah, shit. I gotta go readjust all the lights. Rabbit hole. There we go. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to Friday morning tea with a hacker. I have my lovely Yellowstone tea mug. Drop your favorite Yellowstone character into chat. I have a tendency to have a personality like John Dutton myself. I just don't have the patience to deal with you three today. Anyway, welcome to Friday Morning Tea with the Hacker. My name is Neal Bridges. As always, thank you so very much for joining me today. I want to give a special shout out. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned into my co-working streams this week. Was that not hella fun? I had hella fun on my co-working streams this week. I had a lot of people reach out to me. And ask me about my work style and about the timers and about how we do the co-working stuff. So I'll talk a little bit about that one as well. So I thoroughly enjoyed, I really like the co-working streams. That will become a staple as soon as we figure out like all the kind of the best ways to work that system to make sure that we do it the right way. We did a lot of test runs this week. We tried a lot of different things. You can tell we changed up the camera view. We changed up the formatting a little bit. So we'll continue to tweak those out just a little bit. You know what, Callie, listen. This is why I do the timers, is because they're not actually supposed to be a suggestion. I know, shocker, not supposed to be a suggestion. I'm not going to let you soapbox me this morning. But listen, when you're in the zone, I got a story for this. Callie. It's not going to be a soapbox yet. I'm not going to let you get to me yet. Not only is it going to be a staple, Sonic, but I'll tell you, like, we ran the experiments intentionally in the evening to play with it and figure it out and see, how it would feel. We will back those up to accomplish them more during the day. I probably shouldn't be encouraging everybody to burn the midnight oil as much at night as much as I do. A lot of you talked about my phone calls at night and stuff like that. So we'll talk about all of that. With that being said, if this is your first time joining, I see somebody talking about this is their first time joining over on YouTube. If this is your first time joining, let me be the first to welcome you here and say thank you for taking time out of your day to come and chat with us this Friday morning. We are all very excited and glad to have you here. If you are a returning visitor, I'm sorry that you are a masochist and come here for my torture and domination every single day. First time caller, long time listener. Exactly. I love it. I appreciate everybody who, wow, really been for 4 years, 5. I didn't realize that one works. God, I'm learning stuff about my own bot. I can't believe Callie's been following for 4 years and 5 days. And look, everybody's going to do it now. Like, how long have I been following? Man, I love this. I love it. Anyway, if you're a regular, God, this is Friday. You totally tell it's Friday. Like, my mind is so like on left field. If you're a regular here, thank you so very much. You know what the format is. You know what the rules are. This is our Friday morning AMA stream. We do obviously a lot of thematic stuff throughout the week. And so we use Fridays to kind of come together as a cybersecurity team and really just kind of decompress for the week, talk about the events for the week, have some caffeine together, share some stuff from the news. Obviously, everybody's on a huge, giant mission to try to get me onto a soapbox in the next few minutes. Actually, we got 25 minutes to see if I can do that. With that being said, as this is our Friday morning AMA stream, do ask your questions in chat at any point in time, and a moderator will grab them and push them up onto stream just like that. Speaking of moderators, we do have moderators in chat. I want to give a huge shout out to all of my moderators. I love all my moderators. They've been my close friends. And I use that word super lightly. As much shit as I give to all of them, they are my closest friends for the last 5 years that I've been streaming. As such, you give them the same amount of respect that I give them. I don't know that that's going to work out well, but we'll try it. Anyway, moderators are here to keep chat free of any racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, and otherwise toxic behavior. We have a zero tolerance policy for toxicity here on chat. Best opportunity to plug the Discord is now. Remind yourself to hop on over into Discord, because if you are in an altercation with a moderator, Discord is going to be your best way to engage with the moderators to handle that altercation. Speaking of Discord, you do want to be in Discord. There are giveaways in Discord. Like, you know how I lead with that? I always lead with the Discord. You're going to want to be in the Discord. You know why you're going to want to be in the Discord? Because you're going to want the giveaways. Yes, indeed. And so as such, go to the Discord, sign up for the hashtag giveaways channel. What is going on my stream deck this morning? If it's not one thing, it's another. Not one thing, it's another. Giveaways in Discord. You do have to be in the hashtag giveaways channel. You do have to have the giveaways notification on. Let me give everybody a pro tip on giveaways. I know that this may come as a shocker. But it does you no good to join the Discord, sign up for the giveaway notifications, and then leave the Discord. I know who you are. I see it. We have logs turned on because we're good cybersecurity practitioners. Words are hard. We do have logs turned on. And it is so funny to see a stream. We pump the Discord. I see blah, blah, blah has joined the server. Blah, blah, blah has signed up for giveaway notifications. Blah, blah, blah has left the server. I'm sorry. The giveaways don't work that way. You got to stick around. You got to hang out for a little while. With that being said, there are other things that you're going to want to take advantage of in the Discord. We do have a LinkedIn lounge so that you can network with your fellow cybersecurity practitioners. We have a red team channel. We have blue team channels. We have career advice channels. We have a share your stuff. So if we're all the time talking about you need to go out there, you need to have a portfolio, you need to be able to share your stuff on GitHub or LinkedIn or YouTube or some form of content. We do have a channel for you to be able to share your stuff and get visibility on there. Speaking of giveaways, you got a place for me, Beard? Roger that. You gonna tell me where you're gonna put it so I can at least talk about it? Okay. Real quick. So I've always promised, like, serious moment for a second. Serious eyes. Look here, look me in the eyes. You and me together. Pay attention. If you got me playing in the background, give me 2 brain cells. Just give me 2 brain cells. If you're Callie, give me a quarter of a brain cell, the last one you've got left. That's right, I'm the captain now. I've always promised you that any money that we always earn on this stream goes right back to the community. We did get our Twitch payout. It's not a lot. It doesn't have to be a lot. It's $176. That's just me being transparent with you on the Twitch payout. Beard is putting into the community feedback section right now of the Discord a poll. so that we know what we need to go out and buy for giveaways. If you want to have an impact as to what we give away with your contributions, you need to go into community feedback right now, or whenever you hear this stream, or on your phone, write yourself a memo to remind yourself to go into community feedback and vote on what we're going to be giving away now that we've got our Twitch payout for the month. Again, that's always my promise to you. I don't take any of the money from any of the streams whatsoever. And so this is a part of getting your feedback so that we know what we're buying, so that we can turn right back around and give it back over to the community. I wish I could have. You know what? I'll tell you what. If we ever get to a consistent state, Callie, on subs, I'll 1,000% front for a Cyber Insecurity team membership on ChatGPT. Hands down. Like, I make no qualms about that. If we get to a steady state of recurring subs, done. I'll buy it. And I'll go one step further. I'll seed it with GPTs exclusive to my knowledge in cybersecurity so that they're only available for people who are on the team. Absolutely. If we get to that point where we have a Cyber Insecurity ChatGPT team, I will spend countless hours training that model in a customized GPT of everything that's in my head, from offensive security at the agency to running, Fortune 100 companies. I got it. I got you guys. Anyway, head on over to Discord. We do need your feedback in Discord. We will let the poll run for a little while, and then we'll look to prop those giveaways up and get those out to folks. It's up for a week, so we'll announce next Friday. Oh, we got a holiday coming up next week. There won't be a stream next Friday. We'll do it the following week. We'll run the poll for a week. We'll announce it the following week. We'll run the poll for a week. We'll announce it for the following week. And BSEC is right. We're majority Ferrari people around here. Hey, Ray, head on over to Discord. Drop that paper into Discord. Ask that you not self-promote in my channels, please. I don't want to have to ban people for self-promoting my channels. But head over to Discord. We give you a place for it over in Discord. Streamers get holidays off. The wife is making me take next week off. Yep. So that was that. Speaking of which, yeah, you heard me say it. Next week's 4th of July. Obviously, we're gonna have an abridged week next week. We'll probably definitely be looking to do a co-working stream a couple of days next week. Don't know how many. We'll do a co-working stream a couple of days next week. And then obviously no Tea with a Hacker next week. We do have Jason for a threat brief. Wait a minute. Did we do Jason this week or last week? Shit. We did. That was just this week. Okay, we don't have Jason next week. Man, my weeks are merging together. So next week, it'll mostly be co-working streams next week. No Jason. I'm a whole mess this morning. The caffeine hasn't hit. Do your magic faster, bitch. Yeah, so 4th of July is next week. I hope everybody has a good and safe 4th. We'll do some co-working streams next week. Speaking of co-working streams, forgive me, chat, for I have sinned. I must do confessional. I was a boomer this week. I know. I am ashamed of myself. I was a boomer this week. Let me explain, chat. Let me explain the sins of my ways. Tell somebody to get off the lawn. As you can tell, there's not a lot of light in this room, so I don't really see my lawn very much unless I go outside. Cypher and Nigga, you're owed some time with me. I have not forgotten. Let's try to get that on the calendar ASAP. I'm all the time telling you guys things like think outside the box, get out of your own way, don't be such a don't pigeonhole yourself into thinking that there's only one way of doing things. And unfortunately, my co-working stream this week, you all witnessed, I don't know whether you noticed it or not, you all witnessed a little bit of a frustrated working Neal. It happened Wednesday night's co-working stream, I think it was. A project that I'm working on for you all that I'm going to share pretty soon. I wanted to build a threat management platform. Holy shit, it's an orcs! Hey, you. I missed you. Everybody say hi to Jess. Everybody point at Jess and say, hi, Jess. We missed you. Anyway, I'm putting together a threat management platform. So it's going to consist of an open CTI instance. And then I'm going to, CTIJ, wherever CTIJ is at, he had asked about building, AI with threat intel. And so I was working on building content so I can show you an AI threat intel workflow. And so to do that, I was starting with a tip. And one of the most common tips that exist out there that's free for you, there's no secret to this. You can go out there and you can download this tip today and play with it. It's called OpenCTI. I'll ask one of the mods to go grab a link for OpenCTI. Anybody can go download and start to play with OpenCTI. And so I had used it before. We've used it. We've done it with streams here before as well. And so I go and download OpenCTI, and that's what I was playing with this week as I was getting it up and running. As I went to go start to populate it with data, right? OpenCTI has a ton of connectors, right? They've got Alien Vault, they've got MISP, they've got tons of connectors where you can aggregate threat intel into OpenCTI. Everybody's with me so far, right? It's pretty simple concept. Like, yeah, Neal, duh, you're not telling us anything we don't already know. I may be telling some people some stuff they don't already know, but either way, right? You're centralizing your threat intel. Well, so I was configuring it. I was configuring Alien Vault's connector Wednesday night, and I was running into just a massive ton of Docker issues. I'm not sure, Callie, if you saw my Docker hate message. You don't know if you saw my Docker hate message, but I was hating you, and I was hating Docker Wednesday night pretty significantly because I was running into tons of issues with getting Docker to read my env file and my Docker compose YAML file so that it would load the appropriate configurations for Alien Vault. And I had Gemini and Claude going back and forth trying to help me troubleshoot both of those things to no avail Wednesday night. And I finally threw up my hands and I was like, I'm getting frustrated. I wasn't thinking straight. I needed to walk away from it. And so I played some games with Beard. Beard and I hung out in the deep desert until real life nature decided to cut his power off. Luckily, he didn't die. I played for a little while longer until it looked like my stream froze up. And then I was like, all right, you know what? F this. I'm done. I'm going to bed. So I went to bed and took my notepad with me. I took my trusty notepad with me, because I always take my notepad with me to write notes on. And I go to bed. I wake up the next morning and I'm like, fresh day, fresh start. We're going to get to work. This was yesterday. And I sit down I deleted all my configs for Alien Vault and OpenCTI. I was going to start completely over from scratch. Not from scratch in terms of like OpenCTI from scratch, but just, with the challenge that I was working on. And as I was going through my notes, as I was reevaluating my project, as I was reevaluating what I was trying to accomplish, I realized that I was boomering this project before I even got started. Neal, it doesn't sound like you were boomering your project. Like, this sounds exactly like what you need to be doing. No, ladies and gentlemen. I was boomering this project. The goal, the objective, was to create an agentic AI workflow. And part of the advantage that we talk about when we talk about AI and cyber is its ability to be more efficient and more accurate-ish in the reasoning model. So why was I shoving a bunch of useless random data from all of these other threat feeds into my tip? Right? That wasn't the goal and the objective. The goal and the objective was to build a correct threat management program where you have identified priority intelligence requirements. You then take those priority intelligence requirements and you identify the appropriate indicators and warnings and signals that you need, and then you make an analysis engine on it, and you feed that into a threat intelligence platform that has actionable intelligence for your organization. And this, so I say all this to say, like, I'm now back on track with my project, but I say all this to say, like, it happens to me. It happens to me. We want to forward lean. We want to look into a direction of, how do we leverage this technology? How do we try to move forward? How do we try to do something awesome? And what ends up happening oftentimes is we get caught in habits. We get caught in just the way that we've always been doing things, and we forget sometimes that when we set out to do a project, we need to take a step back and say, this might have been how I did it before, but if I want to do it differently, then I need to approach it with a different mindset. And that's what I didn't do this week. And I apologize for that. Don't need to apologize. I apologize in the sense that it set me back a few days as I struggled with something. But I wanted to share my failures with you as well, because I want you to see that it's hard to make a change in a direction you want to, right? And I know that it's hard to make these change, but you can do it. Just take a step back from the problem, reanalyze the problem. You'll see what it was that you were trying to set out to solve in the first place. It was a great learning experience. I was like, exactly. It was doing the same thing over and over again. It's like, oh, I got to open CTI. I'm going to add a bunch of connectors. I'm going to centralize a bunch of data, and then I'll do the next phase of the project. And I was like, no, that's very anti the objective of this. It's very the anti-objective of this. And so we're going to take a step back. And so between now and hopefully before we go on vacation, with my new framed lens, I can go forth and complete the project with kind of this new mentality now that I've thought through the process. So I need to take a step back, look at my architecture, refocus, reframe. But I wanted to share that story with you, just so that you didn't think that you were alone in that endeavor. If you were struggling or if you're having a hard time, like seeing the forest for the trees, right? Notice that it happens to everybody, and it's okay to take a step back and put it in perspective. Speaking of the co-working streams, lots and lots and lots and lots of great feedback on the co-working streams. And I appreciate all the feedback on the co-working streams. Please continue to drop it. I'll tell you, I flashed up a couple of comments during the co-working streams where people were surprisingly open about how productive they were simply watching the co-working streams. And Beard can attest to this. I was skeptical at first. But those of you who have been in this community for a while, nothing warms my heart more to know that I made an impact on a few people, right? And so seeing the number of people who join those co-working streams, first and foremost, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for the consistent audience on the co-working streams. Seeing people who have shared how it has helped them focus and get things done has been absolutely humbling to me. Absolutely humbling to me. And I'll tell you the third thing, I was surprised how much more productive I was with the timers. I've always read about that. I'm gonna butcher the name. This is one of those times where Beard's gonna laugh really hard in my ear because I'm gonna butcher the I can't Pomodoro. Did I get it right? The Pomodoro method I've read about for years. I even thought about buying one of those little timers for my desk, but I was like, no, I wouldn't pay attention to that. I have to tell you, having that timer up on screen and having that task list made me incredibly productive during those sessions. And so I will continue to do them. I'll try to make them a schedule so that they're not so random. I wanted to do them randomly when I knew that I had time I wasn't going to get inundated with meetings. I didn't have a lot of stuff going on so that like I could focus on the process of making the stream work. I think we've done them successfully. And so we will continue to do them, and I'll do a better job of making them scheduled so that we can all co-work together. I saw Jess in there. Where was Jess at? Jess had a great question. Yeah, there it is. Is it like a form of body doubling? 100%, Jess. That's exactly what started. It was Beard and I were having a conversation. He introduced me to this idea of body doubling as an ADHD trait. And after researching it, and Jess, you'll appreciate this. There's a thing my wife and I do called parallel play, where I'll sit here and I'll play video games, and she'll be right over here on the couch in my office, and she'll scroll social media or do her own research or whatever the case is, and we don't have to interact with each other, but we're parallel playing together in the same room, and it fits an ADHD trait where we're at least, symbolically together stuff, right? And that has been actually pretty amazing from a relationship perspective. It's super great, Sonic. I absolutely love it. And so that is a form of body doubling too. And so when I heard about it in the sense of co-working, I was like, shit, why not? And so, yeah, so we're going to continue to do the co-working stuff. It'll continue to evolve. And so I encourage you, if you're struggling with focus, if you're struggling or need public accountability, I highly encourage you to join the co-working streams. I highly implore you to join the co-working streams. I'll tell you, we've noticed the other platforms that we stream on don't seem to like the long streams. We got to about 4 or 5 hours, and for some reason, the other platforms started to crap out. So I encourage you, we'll probably do it predominantly on Twitch. We'll do other platforms, but we won't do it on all the platforms moving forward. So this is your hint. If you can, move over to Twitch. I'm not going to say that the other platforms are going to go away. Just if you're interested in the co-working, make sure you do have a Twitch presence there. On the co-working side, I wanted to talk on this a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about what you guys witnessed this week, right? So it's co-working with a CISO. For those who don't know, I'm CISO at Query. My job is to protect Query on a day-to-day basis, and so I'm constantly spending my time, trying to make sure that we're able to go to market and protect the enterprise, through and through. And so I've always wanted to try to have a co-working stream so that you guys could see what it was like to work in it, as a CISO. I know it's not the same as if you were able to see my screen, but hopefully, it gives you an opportunity to at least see what it's like being a CISO at a startup. And some of you made a pretty acute observation, not gonna lie. I think it was Frazier, Callie made the observation. I think Sonic made the observation too. Like, I took a lot of at-night phone calls, even on the nights where I was transparent. I said I didn't have nighttime phone calls. You all saw that I had a lot of nighttime phone calls, and you asked, "Is that normal?" And that's exactly why I want to do the co-working streams. So make no mistake about it. I 1000% am grateful that you all saw that and were like, Neal's taking phone calls at 8, 9 o'clock at night. Like, what is up with that? Yes, those were work phone calls. Yes, those were work phone calls. By the way, I have absolutely thoroughly loved the bad lip syncs on the phone calls. When I'm on calls and I look over and I see the bad lip sync stuff in chat, that shit's amazing. So, like, keep that stuff going. That stuff's been absolutely hilarious. Beard and I were talking about a Mystery Science Theater 3000 type of thing for some of these, like, marathon calls that I do. But anyway, yes, those were real phone calls. You've heard me say a lot. You've heard me say a lot, like startup life is rough, right? There's a lot of things that go on in startup. We're trying to will an idea into existence, right? We have this idea in query, and we're trying to see it into the mainstream cybersecurity, industry, and that's challenging. It's hard. It's not easy. Like as much shit as I give sales and marketing on this stream, companies like CrowdStrike, like SentinelOne, like Splunk, a lot of the staples of companies that we've got, it's actually really hard to get to the level that they're at, right? And I'm not talking about from like a greedy corporate perspective. I'm talking about from getting a product into the hands of practitioners and getting it to be one of the mainstream cybersecurity products that gets used on a day-to-day basis, right? It is a challenging endeavor. And I'm living that right now, as a CISO at Query. And so as a result, I understand that the boundaries that I try to put for myself are 9 to 5, right? I will go to the gym. I'll go to physical therapy. I'll go do golf practice in the morning. I'll try to be sitting here in this seat at 9 o'clock in the morning. Yes, I still get phone calls from Matt at 8, 7:30, whatever the case is in the morning, and I still answer them. I still talk to them. Sometimes I come up here and I finish a deck or I work on a blog or whatever the case is early in the morning. All those things are all things that I still do on occasion, but I try to block my time to 9 to 5. And just like my blocked time from 9 to 5, I do my ever-loving best, and when 5 o'clock comes around, I'm not taking phone calls. That doesn't mean I don't work. That just means I have a structured execution to my day. And whether that structured execution is I work on my own personal projects, I go do golf, I go do another gym run, or maybe I do some query work. Who knows, right? And so after 5 is my time that I try to do whatever. But what that also means is that if I get a Slack message from our customer success guy, or if I get a Slack message from our product management team, or I get a Slack message from our principal engineer who's building a lot of our AI infrastructure, and he's burning the midnight oil, getting some stuff done, and they need my input, I'm going to provide that. Now, there's a lot of mixed opinions on this, right? This is a great conversation about work-life balance. This is a great conversation about, where do you draw the lines? Right. And so let's have an open conversation. Let's have an open dialogue about this, because I think this is incredibly important. And I think you guys who paid attention to the co-working streams this week, you guys got to witness firsthand what my work-life balance is, right? I want you to make that distinction, right? You saw what my work-life balance is, right? I could tell every single one of those people to go pound sand. So don't think for a second that in my mind, I feel obligated or obliged to pick up the phone and call. And I think that's important part number one about work-life balance. I know that I have the choice to not pick up that phone and not engage in those conversations. Right? And I think that's the most important part to work-life balance first and foremost, is to realize that you're in control. At the same time, I realize that for us to will this thing into existence, sometimes the work doesn't always get done between 9 and 5. And so I have to gauge myself as to what I'm willing to sacrifice out of my personal time for the company to be successful. Right? And so I make choices. Brian, if you're watching, I'm going to openly admit that I absolutely ignored your Slack message last night, right? So case in point, Brian, one of my Brians on my team, it seems I'm very, very much surrounded by Brians. One of the Brians on my team sent me a Slack message last night. It was a Slack message. I saw the notification come down on my phone. I looked at it. It didn't seem like it was life-threatening, company-ending, critical decision-making process. And so I chose to leave that message on read to deal with it today. So this gets back to something I've said to you all before about work-life balance, is that I think you all, as workers, you all control work-life balance. The company doesn't control it. The company can make it easier or harder on you, but you all have to take personal accountability. Beard said it best in chat, right? Work-life balance is an incredibly, incredibly personal thing. And a company can't define that for you. You have to define it for yourself, and you have to take some personal responsibility about work-life balance. But at the same time, you have to go into those negotiations with your employer so that you understand what their expectation is of you, and they understand what your expectation is of them. I'm sure if I were to randomly call Matt up right now and ask Matt about our work-life relationship, our work-life balance together, he would acknowledge the amount of time I put in, and in the same breath, and he would also acknowledge that if I pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, I'm going to go golfing for 4 hours, there's no meetings, we got no customer calls, nothing's on fire, things seem to be pretty dead, I'm going to go golfing for 4 hours, he's going to be like, have fun, Neal. Right? And so it's an incredibly personal, and it requires a lot of emotional intelligence. Right? It requires a ton of emotional intelligence to realize that you have to take ownership of that. Which is why I don't have problems, which is why I don't have problems picking up a phone call at 8 o'clock at night when I know that there are people who need my help. Right? And a lot of it is this, right? You know, startup life is hard. I've talked to you numerous times on stream, right, about startup life. And again, feel free to ask any questions. You know, you saw a lot of it this week with the co-working streams, right? Startup life offers you a ton of flexibility, yes. But you have to be careful. You have to be careful with the definition of flexibility in a startup, right? BSEC said it best. Where was BSEC's comment, right? I might be CISO in title, but where was my count? Do I have my calendar up from yesterday? Yesterday, I was, Jeff's not around. Looking around the corners for Jeff. I don't see Jeff. Yesterday, I was a sales guy. Yesterday, I was a CISO. And yesterday, I was a security engineer. And a sales engineer. Right? Tuesday, I was a streamer. I was a solutions architect, I was a sales engineer, and I was a product manager. Monday, I was a sales guy, I was a marketing guy, content marketing guy, I was a solutions architect, and I was a product manager, and I was CISO on Monday, right? So, yes, there are 1,000 roles that you potentially play in a startup, right? Regardless of what your job title is. Again, one of the reasons I love Query, if anybody from Query is listening to me, I love you guys and I dote upon you guys so much. In our company huddle yesterday, right? And again, I don't think you see this in most corporations, right? I don't think you see this in most corporations, right? We were at the company huddle and we're talking about the business in front of us. We're talking about the things that we're doing to make the business successful. And somebody in the company huddle said, hey, Matt, given what you're seeing, what our goals and objectives are, what are some of the things that this is engineering saying that. This was our engineering team asking what could they pick up in product management, what could they pick up in solutions architecture, what could they pick up in content, what other things could they do to help make the business meet its goals, right? And so that's what I love about startup life, is that you want to talk about a team atmosphere. Everybody is picking up an oar and rowing the boat. Everybody. And I don't see that a lot, except for some very, very tight-knit corporate roles. Like there are some very small teams in corporate where I've seen that. It just doesn't happen frequently, right? Sonic hit the nail on the head. You're not wrong, right? Those roles you play and the salary or exit package probably make it worth it for you to, for you specifically. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But it's business, right? Like, I don't mean this business like, of course I'm getting paid. It's business. No. Business works on a risk-reward system. Everybody pay attention to this aspect. Callie, I know you're running out of brain cells. Shave off a couple of layers of that brain cell and give it to me, right? It's a risk-reward system. If you're a cog in a wheel at a Fortune 100 team, do you think that you have a lot of risk? Probably not. There's not a lot of risk. The business is going to do what the business does. The business is going to make some money, and you're going to be pretty safe and secure in your employment. There's not a lot of risk here. In a startup, there is risk. Now, I'm not going to talk about the specifics of Query's financials, and so I'm going to talk very broad stroke about financials of startups in general, right? Most good startups only seek funding for about 12 to 24 months at a time. And the reason they do that is to try not to dilute equity of a lot of those founding team members. Because a lot of those founding team members are doing exactly what I'm talking about now. They're sacrificing a ton of their personal time to make the company successful. And so as leadership, you want to try to look out for their, to Sonic's point, forward-looking lens that at some point in time, this risk will pay off. And that's very, very much the life of a startup. Make no mistake about it. Like, I've always been honest with you, and I've always reminded you, everybody's trying to get paid. And anybody who tells you like, oh, you shouldn't be in cybersecurity for the money, fuck them. Right? You should be out there getting your paycheck day in and day out. I'm mentoring 2 people right now in their job negotiations. One's in the military going for his first private job, and one's a CISO who just got laid off. And I'm coaching them on how to get the most money for their worth. You should be getting your dollar. Right? You should be getting your dollar. And so, yes, I'm at a startup to put in a lot of work, to take a ton of risk, to make a lot of money. Period. Dot. I would love the opportunity to change the industry. I would love the opportunity to see something grow. I would love the opportunity to make a drastic difference in how we do security operations. I would love all of that. I would also love to make a shit ton of money. Right? And so that factors in to my decision, my personal decision on work-life balance. You see that? It all comes back to how you want to position this. Right? And like, again, you're not wrong. Like, I'm not gonna talk about how much I make on stream, but I'll tell you, I'm making the same thing now as the last Fortune 100 job that I left in 2021. I've not gotten a pay raise since 2021. Dead serious. Dead serious. I haven't gotten a pay raise since 2021. I've gotten a mountain of options, but I don't cry about not getting a pay raise. My workload has increased. Last year, we lost our dedicated security engineer. You know who had to pick up the job on security engineering? Or not security engineering, sales engineering. Last year, we lost our sales engineer. You know who picked up the role of sales engineer when they left? This guy. So I've gained another role and still not gotten a raise. I'm not on Matt's desk every day asking about it. You know why? Because I'm thinking about the future. I'm looking forward. And again, I say all this to say, this is what I want you all to think about. When you're thinking about your careers, when you're thinking about how you're positioning yourself, there's a strategy, there's a chess game to be played. There's a chess game to be played here. Hey there, welcome to the stream. Glad to see you're here. You must be new. My name is Neal Bridges. It's glad to see you. We don't do random Linux crap here, but I appreciate you making the suggestion on the content. If you do have some questions about your cybersecurity career, be happy to answer them. But no, we will not be doing some random Linux crap on the stream. Ever. Random Linux crap. Oh, has that been more than 30? Did I make it 30 minutes without a soapbox? Ha ha! Ha ha! Look at that. Look at that. It was too scared to answer. Y'all were too scared to answer. Scammed. The whole thing was a soapbox. Yeah, I mean, like, where was that comment? I literally had a comment from Sonic on that one. Yeah, 100%. 100%. If you know, absolutely, you and I are owed a mentor session. Let's game out this chess stuff on our mentor session, right? Because like, this is important stuff. This is 100%, right? Sometimes we get really, really hung up career-wise, right? In terms of how we think through the career process. It's okay. And there's a point in time where you take risk, right? There's a point in time where you take risk in your career. There's a point in time where you don't take risk and you churn through it. Who was I talking to the other day? I was talking to somebody the other day. Oh, he's not in chat. I won't out him in chat if I can't ask his permission. We were chatting, and his company has had some turnover as well. And he's had to take on some additional responsibilities. And he's like, I'm thinking about going out and looking for a new job. And I was like, how long have you been in your current role? And he was like, about a year. And I was like, don't do it. I was like, it's not like, what are you going out for? Well, it's stressful. Okay, but are you learning stuff? Yes. Are you making political connections inside the company? Yes. Are you in charge of things? Yes. Do you have power and influence in your organization? Well, yes. Then why would you give that up simply because you have more work to do? Right? When you start to put it in perspective, like, and BSEC has lived this life for the 5 years that I've known him. He has been the only IT and security guy for 5 years that I've known him. And he has pushed and pushed and pushed through. And look, he's broken out to the other side. And he's much better for it. And there's a little bit of suck up. There's a little bit of suck it up in that conversation. And I'm not here to 100% tell you to suck it up. But what I am here to tell you to do is that don't make short-term decisions. Don't make long-term decisions based on short-term biases. Right? Don't make long-term decisions based on short-term pain. Stress is also another one. Thank you, BeardSec, for the counterbalance, and I appreciate that. Stress is different for everybody, and you should manage your stress appropriately. And this is why it is very much a chess game. It is very much a chess game, and it is unique and individual. And this is why, listen, this is also why it's challenging. This is why it's challenging to say, hey, Neal, what path should I take? Hey, Neal, should I take a government job? Hey, Neal, should I take a startup job? Hey, Neal, should I go be a SOC analyst or a red teamer? Right? Those are very personal decisions that, should you take a SOC job? I don't know. Do you get tweaked out pretty easily and frustrated and stressed whenever a single thing doesn't go your way? You probably don't want to go into an active combat zone where you're constantly fighting fires day in and day out. That's probably not a great environment for you. Maybe you should go do some paperwork in GRC. Who knows? But at the end of the day, what job is not stressful? Fantastic point. What job is not stressful? There are some questions occurring in other forms of media. Can I say that? I think I can say that. There are questions happening in other forms of media. I want you to let you know in those other forms of media. While I cannot specifically say these other forms of media, I do acknowledge your questions. I see some questions in these other forms of media. Thank you, Twitch, for updating your policies. I appreciate that because that does great for inclusivity in the streaming community. Not playing Death Stranding or COD or Watch Dogs. I'm playing World of Warcraft or Dune Awakening. Basic knowledge for a chief security officer or director going into chief security officer or into CISO. I think you're trying to say basic knowledge. People skills. People and business skills all day, every day. People and business skills all day, every day. And return on investment. Where's BSEC at? My proverbial return on investment. What do you know to be a viable career trajectory for a network engineer with a bachelor's degree in comp science with no coding? The sky's the limit. The sky is the limit. Let me tell you right now. I've been vibe coding the hell out of some stuff, and it has been absolutely amazing. Like, I know BeardSec hates that term. We are so close to vibe hacking. I've seen one post on vibe hacking. We're this close. We're this close to vibe hacking. Being a thing. You don't need coding skills these days. Let me tell you. I shared this with a small group of people from one of my principal engineers who has got a history in coding. I'm looking for it so I can share it verbally with you all. Right there. First and foremost, they started using Claude Code last week, and now more than ever, see an end is near for software engineers. There was a quote out yesterday in Forbes that said the Salesforce CEO is claiming that 30 to 50% of the work done in Salesforce is done by AI. The Anthropic CEO says 90% of software engineering jobs will be done by AI in a year. Right? My principal engineer said to me, for someone that's been in an architect role for several years, it's a huge productivity boost. If given the resources to do it, I could manage dozens of cloud code agents simultaneously working towards a complete solution. I get it now when Microsoft laid off 7,000 devs. Claude Code is easily a replacement for a less than 5-year experienced developer. Anybody who's telling you that you need to know programming for cybersecurity is living under a rock. If software engineering is already afraid of their jobs being replaced by AI, you do not need to be a software engineer to be awesome at cyber. That's it. We're an hour in. We made that cup of coffee last an hour, chat. Time to move on to the next level of caffeine. Yeah, I mean, listen, you're not going to know nothing, right? I think there's still a lot of foundational concepts, like you need to understand what it is you're looking at. But this day and age where you have to be a complete Python end-to-end developer to be successful in cyber, this mentality, I was already opposed to that mentality anyway. Now I'm even more opposed to that mentality altogether. Right? BeardSec's gonna run a quick poll. Those were words. BeardSec is going to run a quick poll in Twitch. There, I got it out of my mouth. Please participate in the poll. We are constantly evaluating. We have limited control over ads. We have very limited control over ads. We can adjust things like, so just in transparency, right? Just in the sake of transparency, if you've joined the stream during pre-roll, listen, this is all the reason why you should join the stream during pre-roll. If you join the stream during pre-roll, we force all the ads during pre-roll. That's one of the reasons why I know we got a ton of people who bitch about, like, Neal, why do you have a 10 or 15 minute pre-roll? You know why? Because we force ads during that first 10 or 15 minutes. And you know what happens when we force ads during those first 10 or 15 minutes? We can go 63 minutes without Twitch forcing us to do ads again. So there is a method to our madness, folks, as much as you want to bitch about it. Right? There is a method to our madness. But we have very limited control over ads. And so the poll that BeardSec's running right now is for us to continue to evaluate some change, some things that we have, some knobs that we can tweak on ads the best way possible. Twitch does not give us a lot of control over that. We do the best that we can, right? I will never ask for subs. I will never ask for subs. That's not my goal. But remember, we do have it turned off for subs. Subs should not be seeing ads. And again, all the money goes back into the community, which reminds me, go into the community feedback and also vote on that poll for how we take the money from last month and give it towards subscriptions, right? Yes, BSEC. BSEC is true. If we get enough recurring subs, I will create a cyber insecurity team on ChatGPT for everybody, and I will seed a GPT with the knowledge in my head. I'll feed GPT all the transcripts from every stream that I possibly can, and it would be like having a ChatGPT version of myself. We will make it happen. I just scared BeardSec. So I say all that to say, like you all who have been here for a while have seen me go from completely anti-AI to now completely red-pilled on AI. And I think that should tell you, like I've got a pretty good ear for how the market in the world is going to go. And I would say, if you're still sleeping on AI, don't. There's a question in an alternate communication stream. We're entering a time where wearing multiple hats is becoming the norm in every role. Corporate environments are undergoing intense restructuring across the board. 1,000%. 1,000%. Listen, when companies cut roles, when there are mass amounts of layoffs, those job responsibilities frequently, they don't go away, right? They don't go away. Like I said, we had a sales engineer a year ago. That sales engineer went on to better grounds as a startup, right? And I don't, again, Matt, if you're watching, I'm not bitching about this. I'm sharing transparency with the community, right? There was a conversation amongst us where it was like, do we hire another sales engineer? Do we hire in a role that we need more importantly than a sales engineer? And do we have somebody in the company who can do the sales engineering role otherwise? And the mantle fell to me. Right? And that's what's happening in your corporate roles right now. They're going to lay off. Where's Bayou Beast? Bayou Beast is living this at Walmart right now, right? Jens is living this at Arctic Wolf right now, right? They're conducting layoffs, and they're being tasked with the residual work. Corporations will, like just because they lay off people does not mean that the work goes away. But what I'll tell you, and again, this gets back to my boomer comment that I made at the beginning of the stream. You can either bitch, whine, and complain about it, which is a completely viable, decision point to do, or you can look for ways to make your job easier. Things like, investing in AI, things like learning about AI, right? Those types of things are going to help you be more effective in your day-to-day job. Like you can't like there's a phenomenon I think that I see in the workforce that I want to talk about. Right? Oh, we laid off 30% of my teammates and I just got all the work. And so there's and Bayou Beast, if you watch this VOD, you know I love you, but I'm going to use you an example, and I don't think you mind because you've been on stream, you've volunteered to come on stream, so I don't think you mind if I use this. Bayou Beast and I had this conversation, right? The company, listen, like if you've never been part of layoffs, let me explain how layoffs typically happen, or at least have happened in organizations that I've been part of. Right? So HR will come to us. Typically we'll hear from the highest of levels, right? The CEO, we're going to have to make some cuts. We've got to find 20% savings. That's how it's worded at the top. We've got to find 20% savings. Right? We've got to find 20% savings. Now, the businesses are allowed to interpret that however they want to. Do you cut software subscription prices? Now, whether that's like we get rid of CrowdStrike and we go with something cheaper, Malwarebytes. Oh, shudder. Right? Do we get rid of software subscriptions? Right? Do we get rid of office locations? Do we fire people? Right? Because there's only so many places that you can cut 20%. And when an organization says we have to cut 20%, there's oftentimes some number that gets passed down, right? So the CEO says we got to cut 20%. The CIO says, okay, our portion of that 20% is about 7%. And so security, you've got to cut 5%. That's your share of the pie, security, that you've got to cut for the organization. And so now security has to go across. So the CISO has to go across and say, okay, where do we cut? And I promise you, I unequivocally promise you that everybody looks to cut things before people. I don't know of many cold-hearted executives that when they get told to cut 20%, they immediately say, let's go fire some people. Nobody wants to fire people that I've encountered in my 25 plus years in this industry. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, man, I'm going to go fire some people today. Doesn't happen. It may feel like it, but I assure you it does not happen. And so they oftentimes look at software subscriptions, they look at their licensing, they look to see if they could do tools. Anybody ever been part of a tools rationalization process? Right? Tools rationalization is an attempt to save money so we don't have to fire people. Right? At the end of the day, we eventually get to the point where we have to make a decision to fire people. And that's a very hard conversation to have. And so at the highest levels, we all sit around and we have everybody in the team. And there is a racking and stacking effort that happens where we look at performance reviews. We look at projects. We look at, individual experiences with folks on the team. We look at job positions. And there is definitely a lot of conversation that says, where can we trim the fat in our org? What jobs could be done by so I stood up a threat intel program one time. And one of the conversations I had to have was, Neal, do we really need a threat intel program where we've got 3 headcount for? Or can we roll that into the security operations function and have the SOC do it? And so that's a conversation. Like, that's executive speak. That's executive speak for you either got to find a home for this process or you got to fire some number of those 3 people running on that team. Right? Somebody's got to do threat intel, Neal, and it can't be the 3 people you've got doing it. You got to figure out how to do it, or you got to get rid of your threat intel program. Right? That's what that means. And so now I have to go look and say, well, who or what could I do without? Now listen, let's have a real talk right about this. I may look and say like, well, I just got a mandate. I've got to figure out what to do with this threat intel team. Do I get rid of it? Do I move those people? Do I let those people go? What do I do? Because again, I'm not going, my instinctual reaction is not, I've got to fire those people. My instinctual reaction is there somewhere else I can trim this fat to make up for 3 people's salaries on my team? Right? At the end of the day, there will be a hard conversation to have that says, okay, we've racked and stacked, we've made the decision, and these people have to be let go. You at the tactical level are never, ever privy to this. Ever. This happens behind closed doors. This happens with hours and hours of meetings. This happens without your knowledge. You'll never know that this is happening. And then one day you're going to get a call to come to HR or to show up for an HR session early in the morning. And they're going to say, unfortunately, we've had to eliminate your job. And eliminating your job is code for, we can't terminate you because we have no cause. And if we had cause, we'd have to prove it. And that has a whole series of other reasons. So we have to terminate your role. We can't tell you why, because if we tell you why, then we're legally obligated to do all these sorts of things. And so we just have to tell you that, unfortunately, we've terminated your role. Here's your severance package. Have a nice day. That is hard. But what is also hard is what happens to your peers. Right? Because what happens to your peers, and that's what you guys are talking about right now, right? Is I get the workload shoved on me. The SOC gets bogged down, right? Like, why am I getting tasked to do these other people's jobs? Why did we let them go if those jobs still have to get done? And that's because the job doesn't change, but the cost center does. Ding, ding, ding. Welcome to cyber being a cost center. Welcome to cyber being a cost center. Now, here's the glass half full side of that. Residual, I love your cynicism. Love your cynicism. That's not true. That's not true. You know why? Because who's going to voluntarily go into this market knowing that it's shitty? If you are a cyber professional gainfully employed right now with a job, and you voluntarily decide that you're going to deuce out of a job and hit the job market, you're taking way more risk than I am at a startup. Way more risk. This is not the job market to be deucing out. Right? Some of the advice that I've shared with people, right, around this, and I see, like, I knew that comment was coming. Oh, I'm just going to stay there till I find another one. But again, this is the 4D chess, the 3D chess that we talk about. Right? Why would you do that? Seriously. Why would you look for another job? Right? Oh, because they're giving me more work. They don't respect me. They haven't given me any money. Fuck them. I'm out. Short-term pains for long-term gains. Right? First and foremost, you have to realize, like, okay, stop right now and think about it for a second. The company chose you. This is incredibly important no matter whether you're at a startup or a Fortune 100 company. The company had to make decisions about who to keep and who to let go. Which means that the company chose to keep you. Guess what you've just earned? You didn't even know it existed. Political capital. You've just earned leverage. And some of you, because you're so caught up with money, work-life balance, esoteric things, sometimes forget that political capital, especially in big organizations, goes way further than money does. Right? Because now you have leverage. Now your boss has said, I can't do this job and the jobs that I'm going to put on top of you without you. Right? So how do we leverage political capital? Thank you, Cybertize, right on cue. I love it. You know the right questions to ask. I love it. Right? What can you do with that leverage? This is not leverage for you to turn around the very next week and go ask for a pay raise. I have to say that because I have had people ask me that. Well, cool, Neal, since I've got leverage, I'm going to turn around next week and go ask people for a pay raise. No. And I'm not going to push this one up on screen, but Viking Defender said it best in Twitch chat. In my experience, sometimes those short-term gains don't make enough of a difference, and there have been around 2 or 3 cuts in the future, seen it about 30% of the time. Absolutely. And so if they do a series of cuts and you get saved, and then you go the next week and you be like, hey, you clearly think I'm valuable. I need a 30% pay raise. Guess who's getting cut the next round? You are. Because your boss is going to go at that table conversation and be like, I thought I could rely on residual, but as soon as there were cuts, he came back to me and he was like, yo, I need 30% raise. Can't do that. Right? No. What do you do with that leverage? You bank it. And you look for ways. So just like a hacker, right? Like again, I encourage you to put on your hacker hats, right? I encourage you to put on your hacker hats. What do you do when you find an exploit on a system? You look to see how you take advantage of it. You look to see how you can gain a foothold. You look to see how you can expand your access. Right? Okay, now that you have access, now that you have leverage, what else can you do? Cool. You're in the SOC, and to Jess's point, you just got handed the threat intel responsibility, right? Right? You got saved by the layoffs. You got handed the threat intel responsibility. You took the job of 3 people, and residual, you're now doing it. So you know what you do? You become the foremost expert in single-handedly being able to do a SOC analyst job and a threat intel job together. Now, when they have to, as was said in chat, right, as Viking Defender said in chat, the next round of cuts come, because there is a high likelihood there will be a next round of cuts come. Now you have another poker chip that nobody on your team has. Because now you're a SOC analyst and you're the only threat intel person, and you can do both jobs successfully. So now the next round of cuts come, and guess who gets to keep their job? You do. You are building a moat. You are building a moat that ensures that your head is never on the chopping block. And at the same time, as people are saying, you're adding skills to your resume, you're building, credibility, and at some point in time, the business will get on the other side. The business will become profitable, the business will start spending money, and they will start hiring. And when they start hiring, that's when you get to cash in your leverage. That's when you get to cash in and say, hey, listen, when times got tough, I took on these responsibilities. I didn't ask for a pay raise. I didn't make your life miserable. I didn't complain about the extra duties. I did what you asked me to do. I see that we're now opening up some recs. I see that you're now talking about hiring. I would like to be considered for a promotion to manager or director or VP or whatever the case is. What's stopping us from having that conversation in the midst of these hiring conversations? Now you're in a position of power. Because now what you've just said to the organization, is, it's time for you to pay me back. And I will feel very disrespected if you do not pay me back, and I will begin to look for a job. You don't have to say any of those things, but I guarantee you that's what the organization will hear. You are now a flight risk. Now that they're trying to accelerate their program, now that they're trying to make program investments, now that they're trying to grow the team, now they're in the midst of losing potentially one of their best people. Right? That's how you turn that leverage into a fat effing payday. $100%. 100% right here. How long do you wait to cash in your leverage? That's a long game. Yes, it is. If you are all about short-term gains, you're in the wrong game. Outcast says it best. Be an investor, not a day trader. Be an investor, not a day trader. Right? It is a long game. Most of you will be in your careers for 30 plus years. Get it through your heads. Most of you will be in your careers. If you are 24 when you get out of 6 years, let's call it a master's program just for the sake of conversation. If you're 24 when you get out of college for your first job and you're going to retire at 62 to 65, let's call it 64 just to make the math even. That's 40 years in the job market. You see the stoic look on my face? I'm not going to let you throw me off balance with that comment. That's 40 years in the workforce. 40 years. That's not a day trader. That's the long game. Yes, play the long game. Question over on the other platform that shall not be named. Neal, what do you feel? What do you feel of the essential programs that is least useful but still essential? Options to switch to AI. That's a weird way to phrase that. I think what you're talking about is, low-hanging fruit potentially for AI. Like, it's hard to be essential and least useful. Is this like, are you the dumbest smart person or the smartest dumb person? Threat intel, and I say this, threat intel is the least useful of the essential programs. Threat intel is the least useful. Pen testing is the least useful of the essential programs. I'll stand on those laurels. Residual redeemed a mentor session. Residual, you know the answer to that is yes. You all, listen, if you all redeemed mentor sessions, hit me up in DMs and let's get it scheduled. Especially when I've got co-working streams, I'll be more than happy to do them with you. Absolutely happy to do them with you. Let's do it. Just get in my... They do not have to be done on stream. That's not what I was implying. I'm just saying, like, if you see me sitting here, let's do a mentorship session. Let's get it scheduled. Let's get it done. On another platform that shall not be named, is there a job market that can be considered safe nowadays? I think the risk had somehow got to normal. Nothing is safe these days. Nothing is safe these days. This is why, I encourage everybody to get a fundamental knowledge of business. Right? Go take a Udemy video from a master's program, right? Go take some of the free Harvard business stuff. Right? You should understand what the economy is doing right now. This isn't political. If you think understanding the economy is a Republican versus Democrat issue, you are misinformed. If you are a professional, for those of you who like to quote the professional, if you are a professional in this industry seeking to capitalize on the spending of corporations, there, I said it that way, if that makes it better, you should understand and be monitoring the business. I have a stock market chart up here. I watch a lot of things day to day on the market. When I get done with the stream, I have an iPad right here that I'll move the stream away and I'll put CNBC on so I can watch the news, the business news during the day. You know why? A, so I can, watch my stocks and see how my stocks are doing, but B, so I can see what is happening in the world. Right? And when you look at what is happening in the world from a business perspective, nothing is safe these days. There's too much uncertainty in the business world today. From everything to AI, to geopolitics, to tariffs, to everything. Everything is causing uncertainty, and there is no place safe today. This is why, for my longtime viewers, this isn't me spreading FUD. For the longest time, I have been like, you all are in control, right? I'm definitely using dad voice on this one. You need to hunker down, right? You need to hunker down. Don't make panic decisions, right? Don't make panic decisions. Be smart. Right? Now's the time to plan. And this is a great question. Thank you so much, Residual, for asking the question. Right? How do we be resilient in times like this? First part of being resilient, stop thinking about leaving your current job. Unless you have a literal person standing over you with a whip, don't even be thinking about leaving your current job. Period. Dot. End of discussion. That's the first thing. So resilience starts with acceptance. And you have to accept that this is the economy that we are currently living in. Again, go back to that 40-year career trajectory. Cyber Ties, I know you're a young grad. You'll appreciate this. Do you think this will be the only hard time that you'll go through in 40 years of career on this marketplace? It's not. I've been through several ups and downs in the market. I lived through the listen, my first experience when I was a young pup was the 2001 tech bubble The cyber crash. That was my first crash. That was my first economy bubble. And I was ill prepared. I was so ill prepared. Right? And then I went through the 2008 housing crisis. And then I went through the 2020 pandemic. Right? We've all gone through. You're going, like, the market is cyclical. This is why I say get you some business knowledge. The market is cyclical. We are going to go down. And then we're going to come back up. And so the first part about being resilient is acceptance that this is the current state of the world. Right? Now, I would love to tell you all to start saving money. But if you weren't able to save money before, you're probably not going to save money now. Right? Saving money is one of those things that I fundamentally struggle to give people advice about because I think that most of the money saving advice that's out there is complete and total horse shit. Right? It's horse shit. I say all that to say, you need to take a business approach to running your financials personally, just like you were for business. Like if you don't, like a Netflix subscription isn't going to make you rich, right? Or it's not going to make you poor, right? But Uber Eatsing every day might make you poor. Those are the kinds of things that I don't typically talk about because it's a very personal decision, but you need to take control of your finances, first and foremost. Yeah, if Netflix makes you poor, you have bigger issues. Absolutely. I am a huge believer that I try to focus on things I can control. I saw Orcs say it before. Building your brand is the best way to be resilient in a time like this. Right? Hunkering down and focusing on yourself is the best way to be resilient right now. Orcs mentioned side hustles. Let's talk about side hustles really fast, right? I'm not opposed to side hustles. As a matter of fact, I've had conversations with a lot of executives, and a lot of executives know that most cybersecurity folks have some side hustle. Hell, I have my own LLC, right? Matt knows this. You know, the revenue from the stream goes to the LLC. Any contracting work on the side goes to the LLC, right? I have an LLC that I run as well, right? So it's not rocket science that most of us have LLCs. I've oftentimes encouraged you to go out and do your own LLC. But understand that building a company and having a side hustle requires work. And you got to get your mind right first and foremost. Like, I'm going to hurt some feelings here, especially my whiners in the back are like, work-life balance matters. I work too hard. I want time to myself. Blah, 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 blah. Right? If you complain about your day job and then you go get a side hustle, how are you not going to complain about now working 2 jobs? Right? If you're complaining, if your side hustle is a gig with PwC, or if your side hustle is doing some freelance cybersecurity work for the mom and pop pizza shop down the road, whatever the case is, and you complain about your full-time job, why would you go do a side hustle where you're likely to complain about it too? A side hustle is not, if a side hustle is for leisure, it's not a side hustle, it's a hobby. Right? Like, there is a saying, like, this is one of those times where I'm totally going to dad voice you, right? if you think, and orcs, I appreciate you. I do. But there are a lot of people who refuse to monetize their hobbies because then they'll start to hate them. Because when a hobby starts to pay you, now you feel obligated. Now you have to work harder at it. Now you have competition. And now you have to put in the exact same work to make it successful as you do your full-time job. I'm sorry. I appreciate civil discourse in this stream. And so I don't say this to you to insult you. I say this to welcome civil discourse. I strongly disagree with this. Do you see the second word there? Hustle. It is a side hustle. If you're not hustling at it, you're not going to be successful at it. Right? A side hustle means that you have to hustle to make it successful. It means that you have to, and orcs, I'm not picking on you. I know what your side hustle is. I'm not talking specifically about you and your side hustle, right? If you're going to start a pen testing side hustle, you have competition, which means you have to go out and you have to provide a differentiator as to why somebody would hire you over me. So you have to go out there and you have to do marketing and you have to do sales and you have to put together decks and you have to sit on sales calls and you have to convince a business owner that they should separate their hard-earned money to give to you. And then you have to do the work on top of it. And so if you hate your day job, you are not going to put in a whole lot of love into your secondary job if it's an exact mirror of what your day job is. It is psychologically impossible. Right? And so you have to be very, very, very careful with the side hustle conversation. I want everybody in here to have a side hustle. I want everybody in here to have a side hustle. And I stand by the thing that I've said to you all before. Everybody should have an LLC, right? And everybody should go out there and try to make their stuff, right? But understand that you just don't put up a web page for pen testing and instantly have a top of funnel where people are going to pay you to go do pen testing. Like, business doesn't work that way. It is a side hustle for a reason. You absolutely should consider doing a side hustle as a form of resilience, as Residual had originally asked. Right? It is okay to have a side hustle as a form of career resilience. Because as Beardsec says, at some point in time, your side hustle could replace your primary income. And that might make it worth it. Let me give you a scenario. You work for a company, right? You work for a company, and you've got a relatively safe 9-to-5 job. Relatively safe, low risk, medium reward. Right? And you're like, hey, I want to build a resilient presence in this economy. I'm going to go out and start to work on a side hustle. You can sit down and say, well, I'm going to devote 50% of my time to my full-time job and 50% of my time to my side hustle. And so you begin to build your side hustle. Or maybe you decide that you're going to have 80% of your time to your main job and 80% of your time to your side hustle. You start working at night. You start putting in some effort. You get your 1 or 2 clients. And it's easy for you to maintain 1 or 2 or 3 clients while you continue to work your full-time job. And you're feeling pretty good about this side hustle. You're like, I've got a pipeline. I've got revenue. I've got a sales process that's down. I can go do client acquisition. This is feeling pretty good. And so you decide to start to do more. Now maybe you start to ease back on your full-time job. And again, you're not in any risk. You're not in any danger. You're building a resilient second line just in case you get laid off in the future. Now all of a sudden you start to see that revenue creep up. Maybe now it starts to look like an income replacement. Right? Now you get to make a decision. Now you get to make a hard decision. I don't think you realize how hard this decision is. I've lived this decision before. You have to decide if you're going to leave the comfort of your 9 to 5. Right? You have to make the decision if you're going to leave the comfort of your 9 to 5. And I don't think some of you realize just how hard that is. Everybody says, wouldn't it be great to work for yourself instead of others? But I don't think some of you truly understand the psychological safety blanket that you all have with your employers. What's that kidnapper syndrome that they always talk about? Stockholm syndrome or whatever. Yeah, Stockholm syndrome, right? Until you're in a position, like it's easy to envy business owners. Oh, they get to do what they want. They get to come. Look at these social media influencers posting from Bali. That's not what being a business owner is. I had the privilege when I was a SANS instructor spending a ton of time with Dave Shackelford, John Strand, Bryce Galbraith, Eric Cole, right? All the names that you know about. Like I spent tons of time with those guys. I was on a plane with Dave Shackelford. He and I were coming back from co-teaching a course together. And I obviously sitting next to Dave Shackelford in first class, he and I got to chatting. And I was like, hey, listen, like you've got all this work. Why are you not hiring other people? And he was like, dude, let me tell you. He's like, I envy John Strand, but I can never do what John Strand does. And I was like, why not? And he's like, because John has people working for him. Chris, where are you at? Chris recognizes this conversation. I think Chris ran off to a meeting. He was like, John's got all those people working for him. I said, yeah, that should make the work easier, right? And he goes, no. Who do you think has to go secure all that business? John. If John doesn't secure business for that month, he can't pay his employees. Some of those employees are his friends. Could you imagine? Like I love BeardSec. I'd never hire BeardSec for Cyber Insecurity. Not that I don't love him at all, but I do not want to ruin a friendship with BeardSec by putting pressure on me to secure sponsorships, to secure revenue, to make sure that his bills get paid. Right? Like, I don't want that responsibility. I don't want to ruin my enjoyment of running my own business because I'm afraid of ruining BeardSec's life by not being able to pay him a paycheck. Think about that pressure when you're thinking about working for yourself. I'll put it in perspective. All you 9-to-5ers out there, I'm going to hurt your feelings again. I want work-life balance. Fuck working all these hours. I only want to work 4 hours a week and then spend the rest of the time on the beach in Bali. You guys are fucking delusional. If you take a 9-to-5, you take 40 hours a week, that is 160 hours a month. Somebody with a calculator, right? If you want to make $100,000 a year, you divide that by 160 hours a month. right? That's how much money you've got to make every hour to have $100,000 a year. That's 40 hours a week, 4 weeks a month. So now you have to do sales, marketing, content generation, and you have to execute the job in 160 hours a month. How many of you think that you could do that all? Because you don't get paid for sales. You don't get paid for marketing. How are you going to host a website? Host your automations? Pay your advertising? Right? It is a lot harder than you all think to be your own boss and do all the things that you need to do to run a business. I've done it. Why do you think I'm still a W-2 employee? Because I'm like, that's not necessarily how I want to run my business. That's not necessarily what I envisioned when I ran a business. Right? Understand what you're getting into, because I think some of you don't necessarily understand what you're getting into. Good. I'm happy for people like this. I got a steady guaranteed paycheck and benefits working for one of the cloud providers. Life is cushy. The only thing I have to worry about is deliverables I owe between 9 to 5. Life is fucking good. Congratulations. I got no fault to you. Like, and again, good on you. You have to find your own path. You have to find your own path to happiness. And it is going to look different from you than it looks for me, than it looks for this person, than it looks for orcs. It's going to look different than everybody else's. But you have to take risk, and you've got to put yourself out there to do it. Nitronic Deer, good to see you. Again, power of networking. I had a friend who's looking for a job. Nitronic Deer has been a long-time member of the community. I've always appreciated having him here from a GRC perspective. Leveraged my network in terms of helping a friend of mine get a job. I knew Nitronic Deer had worked for that company in the past. Knew I could pick up the phone and call Nitronic Deer and get my friend some inside baseball. So I absolutely, again, power to networking. Huge shout out, Nitronic Deer. Thank you very much for your help on that. I heard stories, Neal, they don't like you or threaten to pip, but sticking it out is what should happen. But imagine if they ask you and you don't have a fallback plan. I ask myself if I was in that spot, so it can go either way. It can go either way. It can. I mean, listen, if you are a passive participant in your career, you have no idea which way it's going to go. If you are a passive, I think the whole point of today's stream, if we were to really talk about it, do not be a passive participant in your career. Take control, own your career destiny, run your life like you would run a business. Most of you want to be entrepreneurs. If you want to own your own cybersecurity company one day, if you want to go and be your own boss, fine, start with your lives. Start with your lives. If you want, seriously, start today, build a business plan for your life. Build a 12-month roadmap, build a 5-year roadmap for your life. What are your goals and objectives? How do you measure your OKRs and your KPIs? And how do you go out and sell and market yourself? Build a business plan for your life. Stick it in the goals channel so other people can see it. Right? How do you run your life like a business? Guess what? If you think about your life as a business, guess what your 9 to 5 is? It's your revenue stream, right? So what do you do with that revenue stream? How much do you put in the bank? How much do you reinvest into growing your business? And how much do you spend on unnecessary expenses? Right? When you start to look at your life on a P&L, on a profit and loss statement, some of you might be surprised just how unprofitable your businesses are. Right? Some of you might find just how unprofitable your life businesses are, and that may put things into perspective for you. Cybertie says, how common is it for them to fire a director for this case, then go hire a new grad for a quarter of the price like 2 months later? They won't replace a director with a new grad. Right? When they fire middle management, they're not firing middle management as a person. They're saying, we don't need a pocket of your team here and a pocket of this team here, right? What they're saying is those two teams can be together and we only need one manager. That's how that works out. Like I've seen, let's use the threat intel and the SOC one, right? I've got a SOC team and I've got a threat intel team and I got a pen testing team, right? I got 3 teams, 3 different managers. The question isn't, do I fire my threat intel manager and make a grad do the management role? No. The firing says, I'm going to take my threat intel team and I'm going to merge it with my SOC team and I'm going to fire my threat intel manager and 2 of my threat intel analysts. And make my SOC director manage threat intel and have somebody on the SOC team do threat intel as well. That's how that works. So it's not necessarily like I'm going to fire a director and make a new grad do it. That doesn't happen. That is a fallacy. Just like they're not going to fire, a manager and have AI do it. Like that's a fallacy too. That's just not happening. Wolf Force Recon says, Neal, I've been working in CTI for my skill bridge. I assume thank you very much for your service. And now I have an offer for a position in information assurance. I've never worked at IA before. Wanted to see your scope of the job. I think information assurance is a lot like GRC, right? You're governing the security across an organization. I don't think that I would throw up at that job. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of policy. It's a lot of, double checking on, if things are being executed in a secure fashion type of thing. Look at it as a governance role if you're looking for that. What makes the meetings bearable? Definitely you guys doing bad lip syncs makes the meetings bearable. That's the biggest thing. I'm looking for... what do you think of the people who think that threat hunting is a waste of time? Why would we invest in a team to find hypotheticals that may or may not exist? I think threat hunting is another one of those really terribly misunderstood roles in a security team, in a security org. There's an old company called Squirrel, SQRRL. Their website doesn't exist. They got bought by Amazon a long ass time ago. But you still find some of their old material on. One of the few companies that has actually put out a legitimate threat hunting maturity model. Actually, if you go to Google and search threat hunting maturity model, you can find the old Squirrel documentations that talks about threat hunting maturity model. I say all that to say because I'm a huge fan. Maybe this is my PwC pedigree coming out, right? But I'm a huge fan of maturity models, right? I don't think you either do threat hunting or not. I think you are somewhere in the scope of an immature threat hunter to a mature threat hunting organization. Because in a threat hunting maturity model, taking an IOC off the internet and plugging it into your SIEM at the very basic fundamental level maturity model of threat hunting is threat hunting. I hate it. But at the same time that I hate it, when somebody says to me, we do threat hunting, I say, cool, show me your threat hunting maturity matrix. Show me your hypothesis threat hunting process. Show me how you feed those indicators back into your SIEM, and show me how you analyze your tools and techniques to derive new indicators based on your hypothesis. Oh, well, we don't do that. We just simply grab indicators and put them into a SIEM and search for them. You're not doing threat hunting. Right? And so I think threat hunting gets an interesting perception in our industry based on people's definition of threat hunting. Threat hunting is a waste of time if you don't know what you're hunting for, right? Imagine, like, let's take it outside the context of cyber. I'm gonna go grab my long rifle and I'm gonna go hunting. Well, what are you gonna go hunting for, Neal? I don't know. I'm just gonna go hunting. Well, do you know what season it is? No, there's seasons. Yeah. Do you know that we're in quail season? No, I didn't know we were in quail season. Do you know where to go find quail? No, I have no idea where to go find quail. What gun are you going to use to go shoot quail? I have no idea. I'm grabbing the 20 gauge out of my closet to go quail hunting. Right? You see how when we take it outside the cyber and we just take it into hunting, you can see how ineffective hunting is. But that's how most people approach threat hunting. There is an entire process to make threat hunting right. And so cyber threat hunting can very well be, and in most organizations, as a matter of fact, in 75% of the organizations that I've seen, consulted with, or been a part of, threat hunting is bullshit, and it's a giant waste of time. Very few organizations have a full-blown threat hunting process. And if you do not have a threat hunting process, yes, it's a waste of time. Die on that sword. And it's not for the reasons that you identify. Why would we invest time to find hypotheticals that may or may not exist? That's not why threat hunting is bullshit. Threat hunting is bullshit because you don't have a process. Because you don't know what season it is, because you don't know what weapon it is you're using to search to hunt against the animals that you're hunting against in this current season, and you have no idea how to use the weapons that you've got to do hunting. That's why hunting is useless and a waste of time in 99% of organizations. Hunting can be one of the most beneficial things that your SOC can do if you have a process whereby you develop a hypothesis, you go out and you validate that hypothesis against your tools using the tools that you've got, you generate new detections as part of that process, and you feed those detections back into the SOC. But what I find a lot of threat hunting programs, when I consult with folks on threat hunting programs, what I find a lot of threat hunting programs are devoid of is the generation of new detections. And therefore, it feels a lot like wasted effort because you're not generating anything net new. You don't actually produce anything for the organization. And so therefore, you're not providing, feeding back into the mechanism for the mechanism to be successful. Excellent follow-on from BSEC. Do you need a good CTI program to have a good threat hunting program? Good is relative. I don't think you need a CTI program to feed into a threat hunting program. I think they can work interchangeably. I think more than a CTI program, you need a threat model. One of the things we don't talk about a ton of in enterprise security, we don't talk a ton about threat modeling. Most people who work in retail or food industry, consumer goods industry, thinks that Iranian APT is in their threat model. And it may not be. Right? The reason that they want to think that the Iranian APT is in the threat model is because they want to feel good that they're not protecting themselves from hacktivists and script kiddies. Right? But you have to understand, you have to have a threat model and understand the threats of your organization. That's what I think is good to an effective threat hunting program. That's also good to an effective CTI program. With that being said, we are at our time limit for today. Less soapboxes today. Maybe I'm getting crotchety. Who knows? I appreciate all of you every single day that you tune into the streams. Don't forget, we're going to do some co-working streams next week. No co-working stream today because I plan on utilizing my summer hours at 2 o'clock and hitting the golf course today, baby. Gonna go. Oh, speaking of golf course, there was a golf question from my good friend Outcast, who's always looking out for my golf question. We've agreed that Oberg has a great pre-shot routine. Is there anyone who has a routine that drives you crazy? Yes. I think you're gonna absolutely know who I'm talking about. Brian Harmon. His pre-shot routine makes me want to crush his soul. If that dude takes one more waggle before he hits a shot, I might throw something at my TV. Oh, so you're gonna do this to me. More likely to watch the PGA Tour than Live Golf, but that's because I can't stand CW when CW produces Live Golf. At least the technology on Golf Channel and CBS is a little bit better. All right, that's enough golf for the day. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys so much. Don't forget, July is going to be an awesome month. And we got the return of Brian Krieger. I'm sitting with him today to make sure that we got his stream stuff set up. Brandon. God, names are fucking hard today. Jesus. Brandon is going to start streaming back in July. It's going to be Wednesdays at 1 o'clock p.m. Make sure you do got your notifications turned on social media. Make sure you got the notifications turned on in Discord. By the way, hop on over into Discord. Make sure you're in the giveaway channel so that you can participate in the giveaways. Speaking of the giveaways, make sure you give your community feedback in the community feedback section. We did get our Twitch payout, so we are going to be buying some giveaway stuff. The sooner you get your vote in, the sooner we can close the poll, the sooner we can get the giveaways bought, the sooner we can get some giveaways done. Remember, any and all money earned on this stream goes directly back to you in the form of giveaways because we fucking love giving away shit for free. Anyway, I love you guys so much. You guys are awesome. You guys are the best part of my week. Stay awesome. And remember, you all can do any fucking thing in this industry. There's an X one for residual just because. Always do the free stuff first. Remember, whether you're on the red side or the blue side or still deciding, stay awesome and keep learning. And we'll see you next week.
Time since I rap like this. I'ma keep it real, no cap like this. I'ma go in, I'ma snap on this. When I hop on the mic, no, I cannot miss. Got a little shorty trying to come right quick. Told her not now, cause I'm too locked in. I'ma be the boss every room I'm in. And I made the beat, let the bass come in.